Welcome, everyone. I'm happy to welcome you to tonight's webinar on Boston materials for orthokeratology. I'd like to take this moment to introduce Tanya Malkus, Boston Materials Regional Manager for Europe, Middle East, Africa, and India. Tanya, thank you for joining us tonight, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. And also from my side, warm welcome to everybody. This is our third Boston Materials webinar within this year's educational series. And as Rebecca said, today Wolfgang Laubenbacher will provide insight on the overnight orthokeratology process and discuss his experience using fitting methods and lens designs made in Boston Material using the XO and XO2. And he will also show us some of his interesting case reports. To Wolfgang's background, he graduated from the Munich Optometry School and has worked in clinical practice for many years. Since 1997, he's working in the contact lens industry, and since 21 years, he's intensively involved in ortho-K. And he was instrumental in the development of lens designs and fitting strategies in Europe, and is also active as practitioner and lecturer. Since 5 years, he is managing director of TechLens in Germany. Furthermore, he is member of the professional orthokeratology group of the Scientific Association of Ophthalmic Optics and Optometry, which is in Germany, and it's the WVAO. And I always love to say that he happily wears ortho-K himself. So with this said, let's jump right into the program. Wolfgang, the podium is all yours.
Okay. Thank you, Tanya. Good evening, everybody around the world, wherever you are. Good evening from Munich, Germany, from my hometown. Thanks for the introduction, Tanya. My name is Wolfgang Laubenbacher, and as Tanya told you, I'm a little bit of expert in orthokeratology, involved in developing fitting strategies, and finally wearing myself since 20 years now ortho-K lenses as a -4 diopter myopic person. Wearing ortho-K lenses is for me the most fascinating and comfortable form of wearing lenses. In the time while you are awake and you need a good vision, you have nothing on your eye, no lenses, and you need no glasses. And in the time when you're asleep, the eyes are closed, when nothing can disturb you, you prepare for the next day for the best uncorrected vision. Sounds magic? Yes, maybe it is a little bit, but it works, and I want to introduce you today a little bit how it works, how the lenses were fitted, looking for some topographies and a case study. For those who haven't seen an ortho-K lens before, here is one. It's from my company, from TechLens, the sleep lens ortho-K lens, and we have worldwide a lot of orthokeratology lenses, but in the function and the principles, all ortho-K lenses are very common. Let's have first a look on a well-fitted aspheric lens. Typically for those kinds of fit is that the tear film layer beneath the contact lens and the cornea is uniformly. We have no different thicknesses, and this provides us a fluorescein pattern which looks everywhere the same except at the edge lift. This is typical for a well-fitted spherical lens. In opposite, a reverse geometry ortho-K lens provides this brilliant fluorescein ring in the mid-periphery, and this ring is caused by varying tear film thickness between the lens and the cornea, and this is very typically for orthokeratology lenses. The goal now we have with this kind of lenses is to change the curvature of the cornea. Before the keratology, we have a prolate cornea, which means that the apex is steeper and the curvature flattens to the periphery, named by the eccentricity or the E value. And with an auto-K lens on the eye, mostly during the night, those lenses could also be worn during daytime, we change the topography of the cornea into a flat treatment zone in the center, which is surrounded by a steeper ring in the mid-periphery. We come from a prolate cornea and change it to an oblate cornea. And this changement is possible because we have now a varying thick tear film layer between cornea and contact lens back surface. And in these areas where we have now a very thick tear film layer, here we have a negative pressure on the cornea, which sucks the cornea out of its curvature into a steeper design in the mid-periphery, and so we get a flatter design in the center. This is the function which we need for orthokeratology. Orthokeratology don't presses on the cornea, orthokeratology sucks on the cornea. What happens in the cornea with these forces? Ortho-K lenses are most typically worn at night. With overnight ortho-K, the patients apply the lenses at bedtime and remove them as soon after awakening. It's during the overnight wear when the cornea reshaping effect takes place. And what happens there with the cells? The different tear film forces cause a gradually and steady compression, and possibly also a redistribution of fluids and epithelial cells under the lens from the center to the periphery. The central corneal epithelium becomes thinner, and due to the positive pressure under a flat central curve of the shaping lens, while the mid-periphery becomes thicker. And due to the negative pressure created by this annular tear pool under the lens, we get under the steeper reverse curve of the lens. Here are some pictures made by Jennifer Chu, who described those changes in the epithelium with cat epithelium. And this is a picture of a cat epithelium before ortho-K, and we see in the center and in the mid-periphery the same thickness of the epithelium. And after wearing ortho-K lenses, we regard thickening of the epithelial cells in the periphery, which leads to a flatter curvature of the cornea. Now, what parameters do we need to calculate an ortho-K lens? And we need the same parameters which we need also for calculating an ordinary lens. I need the topography, I need the central case, the eccentricity, the diameter of the cornea, and of course the refraction data. And with this data, it's quite easily to calculate an ortho-K lens. Most ortho-K lenses calculate the central base curve by the amount of the myopia, and we calculate this curve flatter than the amount of myopia plus mostly 0.75 diopters, the so-called Jessen factor. This is to honor George Jessen, who introduced the first time orthokeratology in 1962. And so we have very easily calculated the base curve of a lens. The second important curve is the reverse curve. So we come back with the lens to the cornea. The alignment zones we calculate like an ordinary aspheric lens. And then we have a nice edge lift at the lens. And typically for ortho-K lenses is also a larger diameter, around 10.5 to 11 millimeters, which is responsible for a good centration of the lens. And also a good side effect of a large diameter is comfort of the lens. Ortho-K lenses, when they get first time on the eye of a patient, are very, very comfortable. So what lenses do we use? As Tanya also introduced, we work since many years with Boston XO and Boston XO2 lenses. They have a very high oxygen permeability, which is necessary for wearing lenses while we are asleep. Mostly we use the Boston X2 material. This material is stable. We have a high decay and it's easy to lathe, and it is also very resistant against deposits. What got common in the last years with orthokeratology, which is not common with ordinary lenses, with Ortho-K lenses, we give the lenses different colors for the right and the left side. And my way, when I dispense lenses, I take mostly for the right side the green color of Boston XO, and for the left side the blue color. So it's very hard for the patient to mix up the right and the left side. Right green, left blue is easy to remind. This also works with Boston XO2, where a yellow and a red color is available, and we make the right lens in the red color and the left lens in the yellow color. This also works very good in German language. Let's go now to the fitting of Ortho-K lenses. What are good candidates for orthokeratology? I love the moderate and low levels of myopes between -1 and -5 diopters, and with an astigmatism lower than 1.5 diopters if it's a spherical Ortho-K lens. We also have toric Ortho-K lens where we can correct high astigmatism. In this range, we have around 75 to 80% of all ametropias, so there is a huge amount of patients who can get fitted with Ortho-K lenses. An advantage is a higher corneal eccentricity and also not too flat case. A low eccentricity combined with a case 8.5, 8.4 millimeters are not that perfect for an Ortho-K lens. Soft lens wearers are very welcome for Ortho-K lenses because these wearers have often dry eye problems with their lenses. And to solve dry eye problems, the best way is to wear no lens. And this is possible with Ortho-K lenses, especially when you work a lot of time in computers, in climated rooms. Nothing is more comfortable than wearing no lenses. I like those people who are interested in LASIK, but fear the last step to get this surgery. These are very, very welcome patients for orthokeratology, and of course for sports, for activities, contact lens are a good choice, but no lens is the better choice. In summary, everyone with a moderate myopia who wants to get rid of glasses and contact lenses is a perfect candidate for orthokeratology. And poor candidates are, yes, candidates who are not in this region. Of course, we also can correct -8 up to -10 diopters of myopia. This is possible. But my strategy is to be very, very successful with orthokeratology, and this I can do better in this range here. Also, current GP lens wearers, when they are happy with their GP lens, I think we don't have to change this perfect system of lens wearing. So here are the different parts of the Ortho-K lenses. I just explained this. We have the back optic zone radius, which is flatter than the central corneal radius, plus the Jessen factor. It leads to the compression of the central corneal epithelium, And our goal is to reach a treatment zone of 5 millimeters or more. After this back optic zone radius, we have the steeper back optic zone radius, the reverse curve. And this curve creates the tear film reservoir, which we need to suck the cornea out from here and to get the center of the cornea flatter. And the higher the myopia is, the higher is this tear film reservoir, and it allows the migration of the epithelial cells and intracellular fluid during overnight contact lens wear. The next curve is the alignment zone. I like large alignment zones because they're responsible for a good centration of the lens. And centration of ortho-K lenses is very essential for a good fit and for good optics condition after removing the lenses. And at the end, we have the edge lift, very, very important part of every contact lens. The edge lift is responsible for the movement of the lens, of tear and debris exchange, and maybe it's a little bit smaller than at the ordinary lenses. So what is a well fit of ortho-K lenses? This is a perfect fluorescein pattern. The lens is well centered to the cornea and provides a large treatment zone. And important that the fluorescein pattern is that we see no fluorescein in the center because we need a very minimal central clearance. And if we can see already here fluorescein, then the central clearance is already too big, and we must bring the lens nearer to the cornea. On the other side, we want to see no stainings. If the cornea is too flat, maybe staining can occur in the center. So perfect cornea with no visible fluorescein in the center is a perfect fitted ortho-K lens. And in the periphery, I like a uniform alignment, which leads to a perfect centration of the ortho-K lens. So here once more the fluorescein pattern of ortho-K lenses. I think the fluorescein pattern is very, very important also to observe the fit of an ortho-K lens. With the ortho-K lens on the eye, there must be a perfect vision. Ortho-K lenses are not only responsible for a good vision after removing the lens, they also work like an ordinary contact lens. This means when the lens is on the eye, there must be a perfect vision, and the over refraction should be around plano or slightly to a plus range. So very, very important for orthokeratology is topography. And we can calculate an ortho-K lens without a topographer, but fitting orthokeratology without a topographer is not possible. It gives us such valuable informations about the fitting of an overnight ortho-K lens. It shows us what we have changed in the corneal curvature. It gives us an accurate view how good the lens is centered. And in every follow-up with an ortho-K patient, we make a new topography. Topography is so important. Here's a picture here's a Scheinflug picture of a pentacam of my cornea. After -4 diopter myopia correction, you can see nothing, that the cornea looks flatter than before. If you want to see changes, you need the exaggerated illustration of topography. And with orthokeratology, we walk on a hill and which we return from a volcano. So very helpful in the topography software is the possibility to show subtractive or difference maps, and also can in the topographer software change whether we see an axial map or a tangential map. Here I have two pictures of a patient. This is the baseline, and this is the topography of current visit after wearing ortho-K lenses. And on the right side, we have the subtractive map of those both topographies, and shown here in the axial view. And the axial view shows us how many power we have changed in the corneal shape, while when we switch to the tangential view, we see more the details about the change of the curvature of the cornea, and especially of the centration of the cornea. In the subtractive map, we see here this yellow ring. The yellow ring means we haven't changed anything. So this picture shows the difference from those both pictures, the baseline and the current visit. And the yellow ring shows us how large the treatment zone is. In this yellow ring, we have flattened the cornea, and outside of the yellow ring, we have steepened the cornea. And also, this ring shows us a lot about the centration of the ortho-K fit. These pictures here are now made with another topographer, with the Medman topographer. I go back for a while. Those pictures are made with the Oculus topographer. There are many topographers on the market. These both are very, very good machines for orthokeratology. And here I have 5 different pictures which can occur during an ortho-K fit. In the center here, the so-called bullseye shows very good centration and a wonderful flattening of the central cornea. This is the topography we want to reach with orthokeratology. On the left side of the screen, this is the often referred smiley face, and this happens when the orthokeratology lens is too flat and the lens gets decentered to the top. And then we have a much stronger steepening in the bottom. So this looks like the emoji smiley. And this steep area runs in front of the pupil. And you can imagine this is not very positive for the vision. In opposite, on the right side, this is the frowny face. We know also this Z emoji. And this is caused by ortho-K lens, which is probably too steep, which decenters to the bottom. And now we have those steep curve in the top, which runs through the pupil, and which is also not good for the vision. Here it would be better to make the lens a little bit flatter, while here it would be better to make the lens a little bit steeper. Sometimes we have observed some lateral decentration. Goal is all the time to bring the flattening zone into the center in front of the pupil. A lateral decentration can be compensated by a larger diameter, and sometimes this happens because the cornea is steepening very different from nasal to the temporal side. If this happens, there is not so much possibility to get a perfect centered lens. So this is also an argument how important it is to look at the baseline topography, whether there are strong differences in the flattening of the cornea in the different directions. Another typical topography map is the central island. Here we have in the flattened zone still some steep areas, so the correction is not on the perfect way already. This also happens when the apical clearance is too large, when the lens is not near enough on the cornea, and when we have those central islands. To solve this problem, we also have to make the lens flatter to reduce the sagittal height to get less apical clearance, and then those islands should vanish and the topography should turn into this picture. I want to show you 2 case studies. First, 36-year-old female with this baseline refraction, moderate myopia, around -3 diopters. The case, perfect results, steep case, large eccentricity, and the horizontal visible iris diameters are around 11.5. And now I show you only the right eye of this patient because the left eye is similar. And the lenses we ordered were sleep lens in Boston XO green because it's the right side, with a base curve of 8.20. And with this example, I can show you how easy it is to calculate the curvature of an ortho K lens. We have -3 diopter myopia. With the rule of thumb, this is around 0.6 millimeter of curvature. The rule of thumb tells us 0.1 millimeter corresponds with half diopter of myopia. And we add the Jessen factor of 0.75 diopters, which are another 0.15 millimeters. So in summary, we have 0.75 millimeters. And when we add this to the case, then we will receive a data which is around 8.20. So ortho K lenses can be calculated in your mind. But of course, we use high developed software to create best ortho K lens geometries. We choose a diameter of 10.4 millimeters. The vertex power of the lens is +0.75. +0.75, and this patient can see perfectly because we have a very strong tear film lens, which must be compensated by vertex power of the lenses, which goes into plus. The alignment curve corresponds to an aspheric lens with a base curve of 7.5 and an eccentricity of 0.7, data which you would have used when you would have fitted an ordinary lens. On the dispensing day, I like to put the lenses at once on the eye of my patient and use the time when the lens is on the eye to explain him about orthokeratology, about the cleaning of the lenses. And I like to have the lens half an hour up to an hour on the eye. And then I make my first topography because orthokeratology works very, very fast. If you put an ortho K lens on the eye and you make a topography, 15 minutes later, you can see already changes in the curvature. And here with this patient, I made the first follow-up from an ortho K lens after 45 minutes, and we can already see how steepened the mid periphery shows. And here is the subtractive map, and we can see already this yellow ring, which shows us where we have our treatment zone. It gets slightly flat in the center, but much more steeper in the mid periphery. This looks very fine, and so the patient has worn the lens for the first night and come the next morning to one-day follow-up, and we had this topography. Still, we have a good centration of the flattening zone, because we can't see with our slit lamp where the lens is during sleeping time. And so we need a topography to observe where the contact lens was fitting during the nighttime. And it shows us here that the lens was in a perfect position. The subtractive map shows us now that the center is getting much more flatter, and the steep ring around the flattening zone is not that perfect. This is normal after only one night. And when we go further, this is the follow-up after the 5th night. We have in the topography now a very good centrated flattening zone surrounded by a steep ring. And the difference map shows us now that this steep ring is perfectly, and the flattening zone is well centered. The refraction over these cornea was plano, and our patient was very lucky with his new vision. We also can show these topographies in a refractive map, and I clicked here in the center of the refractive map, and I see the diopters of the curvature of the cornea, and here in the differential map I can see -3 diopters, exactly the amount of myopia we wanted to correct. Here are some more follow-ups. The baseline, this is after day 10, after 1 month in the morning, and after a longer time of wearing ortho-K lenses. I want also to see, want to make a topography in the evening to see how much or how strong the regression is between morning and evening. And in this case, there is nearly no regression. We have the same visual acuity from the morning until to the evening. Normally, I like my follow-ups in the morning because the time from the remove of the lens to the time I will see the cornea is a short time, and if there are any stainings or other things to see in the cornea, it's better to see them in the morning, because in the afternoon slightly staining has disappeared already. Typically for ortho-K lens wearers is in the first state that we have an up and down with the refraction. When, for example, here we have a baseline refraction of -4 diopters, after the first night we land around maybe -0.5, 1.5 diopters, and all what we have done in the first night is going back to day 1. And with the wearing ortho-K lenses night by night, this curve gets flatter and flatter, and after around 1 week we have a stable vision over the whole day. Another case report concerning myopia management, which gets more and more important for orthokeratology. For me, it's the best tool for myopia management, because with this tool, the kids don't have to wear additional glasses or lenses. Here this patient was born in 1994. With 11 years, he was around -1 diopter myopic. Then there was a strong increase in myopia the next 2 years. With 13 years, he was around -3. Parents are myopic, the father higher myopic with -7. And the parents looked for a method which can reduce the increase of myopia, and they landed in our practice. And since July 2007, 14 years now, this patient is wearing ortho-K lenses. This was his baseline. Now his ortho-K lens looks like this. And Now it would be interesting to know how the myopia developed in this last 14 years. I don't have an IOL master or a myopia master for axial length measuring, but with the principles of calculating the back optic zone radius of the contact lens, we can very good calculate back to an amount of which the myopia must be now. So we calculated this back optic zone radius with the flat K, the myopia, and the Jessen factor. And as I mentioned before, ortho-K lenses, or the vertex power of the ortho-K lenses, is so designed that with the lenses on the eye, we have best correction with lenses. And so we can calculate back the myopia with the status of the central curve, with the data of the periphery curve, because the curve of the periphery corresponds with the flat K of the cornea plus the Jessen factor. And so we can calculate very good how the myopia must be now. I'll show you an example. These are the data of these patients in the last year. We started with a central curve with 8.63 or 64. And this is the periphery curve and the vertex power of the lens. And here I have shown you the difference between these two data. When we observe this data, we see sometimes we must have made the central curve a little bit flatter because myopia was increasing. So the difference gets larger. And we've done this in later years also. And when I now calculate back to the myopia, we started with this calculated data, which corresponds with the -3 diopters of his myopia. We landed now at these data here, -3.75 or -3.25, which shows an increase of myopia in 14 years of this very slow data. This shows a very good result, but we have still the question now, what would have happened if this patient hasn't worn ortho-K lenses? We don't know. For me, very interesting to know what would have happened if we had started 2 years earlier with orthokeratology, when the patient still had -1 diopter myopia. And the third question I have, what will happen if he finishes ortho-K lens wearing? I'm sure this patient won't finish because he's very happy with the big comfort he has with orthokeratology. And typical for orthokeratology is that nobody is after a while anymore aware about myopia because we don't really realize myopia anymore. I have perfect vision without lenses. When I put the lenses on, I have also a good vision. If I want to see my old myopia, I have to put 2+4 lenses put in front of my eye so I can virtualize my former myopia. So finally, why Boston? The materials of Boston has proven their quality and safety now over decades. We made the best experience with them in lathing and fitting, and they have also a wonderful stuff which helps you in all your concerns. And one of those persons in this wonderful stuff is Tanja Malkus, and I will give her now the microphone to her. And I want to thank you for your attention. And for further questions to Boston Materials, you can email to Tanja. And if you have further questions to orthokeratology, feel free to send an email to me. And on the website of, where is it, fit-boston.eu, you will find additional informations, or you scan the QR code here to get a direct access to the website. thanks for attending, and Tanya, I hope you collected some questions.
Thank you very much, Wolfgang. This was really nice. And yes, there are some questions. We have people from 10 different countries, nationalities here. India, USA, Israel, and a lot of people from all over Europe. There are not so many questions, but I do have some. And one of them is, for instance, what your recommended replacement schedule is for orthokeratology. We've seen your list that you calculated it annually, so maybe that's also your replacement schedule.
Yes, we recommend, and I think almost every manufacturer and dispenser of ortho-K lenses does it. We recommend an annual exchange of ortho-K lenses. When we started with ortho-K 20 years ago, for us, our highest goal was safety, safety, safety. And our knowledge about orthokeratology was not that much, but it was much more than the knowledge the practitioners had already. And we advised them to have based safety of ortho-K lenses, replace the lens annually, every year new ortho-K lenses. And we are very glad that that we recommended all this, because this has led now that we have regular replacement already now for GP lenses. We have this with soft lenses since many, many years, but also for ordinary GP lenses, the practitioners move more and more to faster replacement of the lenses. And the results give us right that we have done the best strategy, because we have no problems with overworn ortho-K lenses, no problems which would have caused any damages of the cornea.
Right, very good. That fits a little bit into the next question, which is, are you working with monthly subscriptions, or are the practitioners around you do so?
Yes, in my country, in Germany, I think 90% of ortho-K lenses are dispensed with a monthly subscription. And I recommend this very strong. For me, an ortho-K lens is not a product anymore. Of course, it is a product. For me, it's more a training instrument. It's a tool. With this tool, which I use every night, I train away my myopia. And I compare this with a gym. When you go to a gym, you pay a monthly fee, so you can use all those power machines there. You can have instructors, which helps you. And so is orthokeratology. It's a training. A myopic patient comes to me, and I'm the trainer, and he asks me to do something that my myopia goes away. And I give him this training tool, and you have to start the training, and after a while you will see the positive effects, and then you have to stay with the training all the time. If you finish the training, everything goes back. And so I'm the gym, which charges a monthly fee, and this monthly fee includes that the lens is replaced every year, every follow-up is included. And if the patient has any problems, he is welcome to contact me for a follow-up. So this works perfect for orthokeratology.
That's a very nice analogy. I've never heard that, but I like it. Then I have a personal question, because believe it or not, there is a friend of mine, and she put her 12-year-old daughter into orthokeratology. And after now 6 years, the girl wants to switch back to glasses. So that exists. Hard to believe, because my daughter is in ortho-K lenses too, and you can't touch that. Don't take it away. So is there a special process or procedure how to best wash her out of the lenses, like during the first days when vision goes back to normal, to her regular myopia? How do you recommend the patients to treat with the decreasing vision without having perfect glasses?
Okay. I get often this question, what happens when I finish wearing Ortho-K lenses? I can't understand that a young girl wants to go back to her glasses, but anyway, it takes around 1 week until the old glasses can be worn quite comfortably again. And it takes around, yes, 10 days to a fortnight until we get back to the baseline curvature, because in this period of 10 days to 2 weeks, the epithelium has changed totally. And for the first days, it is possible to dispense daily disposable soft lenses to keep a good vision. It is possible. What we are doing, not when we stop wearing Ortho-K lenses. We do this when we start Ortho-K lenses, but this is comparable. We have a few of minus glasses, -0.5, -1, -1.5, -2, unisex frame, which we give to our patients for the first days, so they have all the time very easy possibility to put the glasses on which corresponds to the actual refraction. And this can also be done in a washout.
Oh, very good. Yeah. And is there an actual length monitoring recommended to see how the development will come up in the next years? And in this case, the girl is going to university next summer, so she is going to study a lot, and there might be changes.
Might be. Axial length measuring is very, very interesting tool for, let me say, scientific reasons. As a practitioner, I'm not sure whether we need it at all. It makes sense in a long period to see how the axial length develops. But as shown in my last case study, it is also possible to calculate back to the myopia. But to be honest, the refraction must not correspond at all with the axial length. And the myopia management, primary goal is to reduce the axial length. So I think it's not that necessary, but maybe in the future we will see more and more axial lengths in the practices.
Yeah, right. Okay, thank you for that. Then there is another question. Can you explain the Jessen factor again, please?
Okay. I explained that we flatten the back optic zone radius by the amount of myopia. For example, if I want to correct 3 diopters of myopia, this corresponds with 0.6 millimeter in flatter curvature. If I calculate the lens in this way, this is not enough power from the tear film to flatten the cornea. I need a little bit more power, and so I make a so-called overcorrection of 0.75 up to 1.0 diopter. I have more power in the back optic zone radius than necessary from the refraction, but I need this to for landing at the end at the correction of the myopia. And the Jessen factor shows in the vertex power of an Ortho-K lens because it is plus, and we use more Jessen factor the higher the myopia is. Up to 1 diopter, we take a Jessen factor of -0.5, up to 4 diopters, around 0.75, and for higher corrections, we make a higher Jessen factor because we need more power to get the lens flatter. It's a data of experience we made all the years, and here is the basic of the factor.
Okay, I hope that this has answered the question. If not, Wolfgang has given his email address. So when there are further questions, I don't see any at this stage, then please contact Wolfgang or also myself, and we will take care of that. So for the rest, it's just to say that this webinar was recorded, and everybody who wasn't able to see it or wants to revisit it, it will be put on our Boston Materials website, the fit-boston.eu. And also here in this slide that Wolfgang has put up, you see a QR code. If you use that, you will land directly on our practitioner educational resources page. And you will find a couple of things around orthokeratology. For instance, a guide from Mike Lipson. He has written about orthokeratology, and then there will be a video with 5 international ophthalmologists who highly recommend orthokeratology, have many, many years of experience. And this might be interesting for you as a practitioner to take the fear away of interdisciplinary discussions, or also guide the parents to that video to take away their fear what might be happening to the child that gets orthokeratology lenses. So please feel free to visit that website with the QR code here, and everything that can be said now is that we thank you very much, Wolfgang. It was a pleasure to listen to you, and you have spent almost an hour with us, and I wish you all the best and have a very nice rest of the evening. Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Goodbye.